Aspen Dental. Get dental.
Welcome. Welcome. Gonna get y'all started like this. Yeah. Some of y'all out there may not know. America.
See, I've been on the loose patience. Hit the block and get mine. Hit a lick and go cop a brick and then flip the brick in no time. Pump a push like a porn star. Make it stack like a coin jar. Ride around and get near. City to city like I'm on tour. Ain't grabbed the Bible for a court case so he can help me out on a court date. I grabbed the Bible cause I was sick and tired and heard my inheritance was real estate. I can move mountains with little faith. I guess I'm back to push a rock again. I ain't doing this for fate no. I'm doing this for the promised land. He said give my life for eternal life. Try to save my life, then I'ma lose my life. 6 years ago I got blessed in.
Y'all come on in, man.
I can see the light.
You know what we're doing now.
Real dude, cause I'm tribal. My family story is a bestseller. You can read about it in the Bible.
Man, I'm learning patience, man. You know what I'm talking about? Trying to keep my mindset on that place I'm trying to get to. You dig? I've been trying to get all these worldly things, material things, man. But I was told about a place, a beautiful place. Milk and honey, you dig?
Milk and honey, promise, land. We are searching salvation. This is part of his plan. Milk and honey, promise, land. First we got to get patience, then it goes to the end. Milk and honey, promise, land. We are searching salvation. This is part of his plan. Milk and honey, promise, land. First we have to get patience, then it goes to the end. I got faith in my Father. He blessed the game for obedience. Several wives, yeah, that's lawful. But for a king, it ain't expedient. I flow hot sauce for seasoning. Every track, that's a meal, boy. On the block, I be reasoning. In the land of the trail. Sipping grace while I gather grace. One of the last to come, but still got a bag. This last year was a hard year. Lost my son and I lost my dad. See this fake rule, they be talking about it. Real Jude about the action, nigga. I be trying to circumcise my heart. Y'all be wearing fridges for fashion, nigga. I'm in search of salvation. This is part of God's plan. First I had to get patience. Now I'm trying to make it to the end. Here's the praises of the saints, the one to keep his commands. With the faith of Hamashiach, they see Zion again.
Like I said, man, patiently waiting. You know what I'm talking about? Man, shout out to all the brethren before me that did this, were doing what I'm doing, and all the brethren out here still doing what we doing until we see Zion. You know what I'm saying?
Milk and honey, promise, land. We in search of salvation. This is part of his plan.
And I hope y'all are not being caught up in this hours. You know what I'm saying? I'm praying. What's up in the building? Yeah. So glad y'all not getting caught up in this rich holiday.
This is part of his plan. Milk and honey, promise, land. First we have to get patience, then endure to the end. Milk and honey.
Yeah, so look, we don't even have a name for what we do on Thursday nights, right? But welcome, you know what I'm saying, into the blackmasking.org realm. Let's say put it like that, right? Usually we do the Hebrew, but it's black masking, it's about the indigenous, it's about New Orleans, it's about Carnival, it's about the Caribbean, right? So tonight we are highlighting Big Chief Sugar Bear, you know what I'm saying, from the Mohawk tribe, right? You see, Sugar Bear is an all-around town Inyan, and this was one of the a really great interview because what he taught us in this interview really rang true through the entire process that we went in filming these 42 tribes, right? That was of that particular year, right? So tradition and culture, right? It really made us understand what this carnival culture was and what it's evolved into by just that simple saying, tradition over culture. Says tradition changes, culture doesn't, right? So when we look at the Caribbean, when we look at Trinidad, when we look at this carnival culture that is celebrated all over the diaspora, right? You can find it's a one particular people that are celebrating this carnival. Now they separate us through these borders and make us think that we ain't the same people, that we're not all one. But if we have the same celebrations and we supposedly don't know each other, we supposedly not family, but yet we do the same thing, look like the same thing, and look like them people too. But now you want me to believe that we all ain't the same. Well, that's what we are doing with this 42 Tribes and with blackmasking.org. We are bridging this gap and showing that what we do in New Orleans is internationally known, is replicated in other places, and that this is a culture and a community of people that come from a particular place. You can check that out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We tell you where that place is. But on this Thursday and through this tribe, we just wanted to bring light to our culture. Many people in this world to this day believe that there is no such thing as an indigenous person in North America of color, when in fact the word indigenous always applies to people of color. So you have these people in America right now that are Indians that go back and forth on YouTube with me and telling me how their bloodline is the earliest ones here and they're Siberians. That is not indigenous. You are indigenous to Siberia. You're indigenous to Mongolia. You're indigenous to Russia. You are not indigenous to the Americas. What we're showing here are the people that are indigenous to our Americas. And this is the culture that we have been keeping going for hundreds of years in New Orleans. So we're going to let Big Chief Sugar Bear tell his story of his tribe and his journey and his love for this culture.
My name is Walter Sugar Bear Landry. That's my alias, Sugar Bear, okay? And I am the big chief of the Black Mohawk Mardi Gras Indian that was established in Jefferson, Shrewsbury, under the guidance of Eddie Capples, an Italian fella that loved it, what we was doing, and seeing fit that we got together and got involved in it in the mid-30s. Later, I came along in the mid-50s and I got involved. Back then, it wasn't like it is today. They did Melrose, they did big scales, they would buy turkey feathers, diamond all with the root dye, whatever color they wanted. The rag man used to go around with his wagon collecting rags and iron and junk from these rich white folks around St. Charles and all. And they would have these elaborate nightgowns and stuff and fur coats, and they would give it to the junk man. The junk man would sell it, in turn sell it to us, and we'll strip the dresses down and all, and use the sequins and the pearls and beads off them, and take the fur coats and strip them down and use them. $50 on the suit. That was plenty of money back then. As a regular Indian. Now the big chief, he spent a little more on this stuff, maybe $100, $200. 10 years ago, I could have did this crown about $400, $500. Today, that same crown costs you better than $2,000. After a while, we're going to have to go back to the old tradition that's put it together with what you can afford. We do little gigs here and there, underpaid, okay? But at the end of the day, that help you to buy some beads, some stones. This was designed for us to get together, go out in the neighborhood, have fun, go from ball to ball, do our little thing. We was not allowed in the mainstream. So we did the neighborhood thing. We represented our own neighborhood. We had many tribes. I live off of Maroon and Washington. That's my stronghold. Moret's Ball. If you go in there, you're going to see my banner on the wall. from 61 to 63, I did a tour in service. 64, I masked. 65, I masked. There was boundaries. They couldn't go on Canal Street. They couldn't go on St. Charles. See what I'm saying? You might cross Canal. Well, that was a no-no, man. Your life was in jeopardy. You couldn't pay them to come around us. You couldn't. We know we couldn't go in that white place. That was a nice little window for us. So we go there and get our little service. That's the way it was done back then. Okay? That was tradition. So we dealt with it. See what I'm saying? I didn't know what it was to go sit up in Burger King or McDonald's or one of these places to eat. I went to the window, got my stuff, and I left. I went to sit on the bench outside there, the bench for us, some tables, outside. Hurricane Bessie came in 65. I no longer masked after that, up until 07 when I started masking. And I was always involved in it, but I wasn't suiting up. Being involved in the Mardi Gras Indians gathered a lot of opportunities. With Darryl, Montana, he and I do an art class at Xavier every year. He teaching them to sew the way they do it. I'm teaching them to sew the way I do it. Bringing them, getting them involved in what the culture's all about. I want them to say that I did what I could to make this thing a reality. A lot of us are confused between the two, tradition and culture. All right? Now, I'm explaining to you the difference. Tradition, it varies. Culture stays the same. This is what we are involved in, culture.
This has been true. His words are like scripture. They have not come back void. That a lot of the confusion in our culture is from tradition to what the actual culture is, and the culture is being inyan, feathers on, making sure that you have a suit every year, providing that for the community, right? Keeping and handing down those traditions. Now, I mean, that culture. Now, the traditions are uptown wears flat, downtown wears 3D. Some wear plume feathers, the others wear turkey and quail feathers. Those are different traditions of how they mask, but the culture is masking. The culture is the link from our city to the entire Caribbean, to the entire diaspora, to who we were before slavery, before we got the transatlantic slave trade story, before our lives and continents were wrecked by this European construct called democracy. This is what this culture represents. In our community, we are known as the Marksville. That was the trade unit. We are known as Poverty Point, where we have mounds that are 1,500 years older, older than the pyramids in Africa. So when we're talking and bringing forth this information, by no means are we not doing it we are by no means doing it without fully researching all that is being done, and to know that this culture was not created because of a sideshow that came to the city of New Orleans, and that the men and women that sacrificed so much to keep this culture going are not from some fable, right? This is in the blood. This is who these people were before we got invaded and before we got new stories and before we got these holidays that the world is celebrating right now. So I pray on this night you had an opportunity to understand truly where you come from. As we've been reading on Hebrew State of Being, Leviticus, chiefs, tribes is what we are. All the way back to scripture, we've been known as tribes and chiefs. And this is no different. When we saw Jericho, when we read of Jericho, we understand that there was a big chief, there was a shofar, there's trumpets. There was the people, the second line that brought down the walls. So we see ourselves in our culture that spans all the way to 5,000 years and plus. So with that said, we will see you guys next Thursday with week 3 of our big chief. I know that'll be the night before New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve night. One of those nights it'll be that. But we are committed to bringing forth this so we understand our traditions, well, rather our culture, so that we can ditch some of these European traditions and get back to our culture. So we thank Sugar Bear for Big Chief Sugar Bear, Big Chief Sugar Bear, the Black Mohawks. We thank him for coining the phrase for us and having us understand the difference between culture and tradition, as we are trying to ditch the traditions of this world and come back to the culture, our innate understanding of who we are and who the Creator made us to be. We are coming back to that. So we thank y'all. I was supposed to announce a winner tonight for the inspirational. It says announce the winner quote of the week. Will be announced tomorrow. Okay. So on Hebrew State of Being tomorrow on our Shabbat show, I will announce the winner before we get into our scripture, because we don't cross the two. So I will announce that tomorrow before we start our Shabbat show. So inspirational quote of the week we will unveil tomorrow. So I give everybody all praise. I pray that you are safe in your homes tonight. I pray that this film will inspire you to go do some research on Indians, on the Indians prior to, especially the Southwest Indians, to understand the Reconquista of 722. I pray that this information wants you to know who were the people here before the Reconquista and before we were invaded. So check out the Americas. Amari is great history. All praises. Talk to y'all soon. Shalom. Me shalom.